The Inside Edge Network is brought to you by Fanatics. Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans, dedicated to our favorite teams and athletes, to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. We're talking NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, National Hockey League, the NCAA. I'm a wrestling guy as well. We got WWE apparel available too. It allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to fanatics.com by using the QR code on your screen right now to celebrate your teams. It's right there in the corner of your screen. Get your official gear. Level up with us at fanatics.com.
Whether you're searching for a baseball autographed by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the web's leading source of authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and player. Not only will you find your next prized sports possession with ease thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, but you'll have the satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the sportsmemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee.
This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I am Rob Rozycki. We got Eli Moon. We got AA Anthony Alford. And we also, yes, there are four faces here. We have Kyle Cornell from the Side Hustle Wrestling Podcast. We thought his expertise would be A-OK with all of the happenings going on with WrestleMania and all of the reaction, good and mostly bad coming from that. But yes, this is the main event here. Inside Edge Podcasting Network. Again, we are joined by Kyle Cornell. How are we all doing today, gentlemen?
Man, fellas, I know you guys are probably tired. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm sure you guys are tired and you guys are doing a great job. I want you to know that. I'm sure it was tough. But I'm doing great. To answer your question, Rob, I'm doing great. I had a show at Grog Shop last night, opened up for Greaves. It was a really good show. Shout out to everybody that came out.
What happened to him? Why is he grieving?
Honestly, though, I'll tell you this. Very tough lyrical rap. If you like lyrical rap, real cool. He's from the West Coast, out of Seattle, out of Washington. Real cool. Shout out to everybody that bought Eli Moon merch. It was cool. We actually gave out a hat. Something I'm going to start doing for shows. I actually gave the hat. I don't have a hat today. Gave the hat off of my head, had everybody sign it that performed. I had all my bros, and we gave it out to a fan yesterday. And they were wearing it the whole show. So it was just real cool, man. Real good energy. Shout out to the Grog Shop for always hosting us and showing love. And yeah, I'm blessed. The sun's cold, not really warm today, but I think I'm doing better than these guys, Rob, to answer your question.
Mm-hmm. And
I hate it when the sun's cold.
Your WrestleMania, day one now, I guess, that we're doing this whole Lollapalooza wrestling thing.
Yeah. It's been a joke. I mean, and we'll get into it, but night one was, I thought it was a cat. Night one was a beatdown. It was. The cat was jumping. I'm sorry. I'm recording from Kyle's place at the moment for getting ready for night two, but night one was terrible. We'll get into it, but hopefully you guys can calm me down. That's why we had to bring in Kyle to kind of help things out, perhaps.
Well, let me just start off by saying that I used to think about being on the main event for over a decade now. You guys had the show originally when we were back at OMS. I can honestly say, tune into the Side Hustle Wrestling Podcast every Friday morning. This is a shit show. No, this is awesome. It's a great opportunity, and what a place to talk about whatever the fuck that was last night. That was interesting. Where would you guys like me to start?
Well, yes, and for those of you who are anticipating actual sports conversation, we'll be talking Guardians, we'll be talking Browns.
Hey, they're on ESPN, all right? There might as well be. They're lumped in with all this bullshit now that we're watching.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, that's where we can start before we really kind of get this ball rolling on the actual in-ring content and all of the source of a lot of animosity from last night. You mentioned ESPN. I'm sure anybody who is a normal viewer of the Worldwide Leader couldn't help but notice they went about I think on average it was about every 10 minutes or so with a WWE talent hawking WrestleMania on some way, shape, or form. What Eli was talking about, Danhausen cursing Stephen A. Smith, and basically WWE invasion on the Bristol campus. You guys are wrestling fans? I really was a wrestling fan. Are we really okay with this kind of cross-pollination on this kind of level?
I mean, it's time, I guess, to see if it's going to work or not. And no time like the present, especially because sports, it seems like in general, has been a little down, if we're being honest about it, as far as just the attention. There have been stories about over the past few years, like ratings being down. Obviously, we've seen some peaks and valleys with that too, but like it's something that both companies decided was worth a shot, and we can only judge it when it's all said and done. I imagine this will not be renewed with WWE and ESPN, I would think, at some point, whenever this contract, whether it's a couple of years, whatever it is. I mean, this is kind of their trial run to see if introducing it into the mainstream sports audience is going to work like they hope. And it's not UFC. It's not these other things. It's a physical soap opera. It's different. Like the outcomes are predetermined, but still, you're hoping you can still garner some more interest and show them that it's worth it. But at the same point, the presentation of it and the impact on some of the stories that are in WWE because of having ESPN lumped in, I think, in the grand scheme of things, has been a negative. And it's shown now with some of the booking decisions and some of the way they've gone about doing business in WWE. So, yeah, I don't. It's.
And I'll add to this too, because I think as wrestling fans, you always have that sense of, oh, are you a wrestling fan? Or it's almost that kind of like when you're a child, it might be a little bit of an embarrassment because, it's for grown,
When I was a kid, it was. Yeah, it was something you kind of kept hidden.
So on one hand, I want to say, hey, being on ESPN, like, hey, this is what we can offer. This is what we can bring to the table. This is our stuff. I mean, I think having your biggest personalities on ESPN to sell their app, having Stephen A. Smith at WrestleMania, having all your big guys at WrestleMania, and promoting it, that is huge. But internally, again, what Kyle was mentioning before, and we'll talk more extensively later this week on Side Hustle, the negatives have outweighed the positives in terms of the in-ring product, in terms of the WrestleMania presentation. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you was watching a regular television show with loads of commercials. I can't wait. Guys, I can't wait to watch ABC World News Tonight in The View after all those commercials I saw last night.
I heard it was 58 minutes of commercials in a broadcast that was just a hair under 4 hours. There was actually more time devoted towards in-ring entrances than there was in-ring action.
That kind of shit makes my nuts itch, I'll tell you what.
Now, what I was hearing stuff about that, I was actually thinking about just popping on night one right now because I haven't watched any of it really.
Don't waste your time.
But at this rate, I had the fast forward button. I can just zip through all the stupid stuff. If there's a match I like, I can kind of watch it. If something's kind of dragging, I can get through it. But
even at 3 times speed, Rob, it's still not worth it.
No, I'm probably not going to when it comes down to it. But I think it messes with ESPN's credibility. I mean, I say that with a high tone of voice a little bit because I'm not sure how much they really had before the process started. But it also from a promotional standpoint, it does legitimize WWE. That's it, or at least it tries to. But the sheer onslaught of just content that was WWE on ESPN, it was an infomercial for basically 5 days. And I think a lot of people just got, tired of it. Mm-hmm. They're like, all right, we know what's happening. We're thinking about watching it. We're not going to be swayed at all by, Liv Morgan on, First Take or anything like that, or on McAfee or whatever. we don't need it. And I think a lot of people were turned off by just the saturation of it. And, like I also saw too that I think it was Awful Announcing had that the WWE had more time on ESPN this week than Major League Baseball. Like pretty much anything besides the NBA playoffs and the NFL draft weren't really taken seriously by ESPN this week. And it came at, I don't know, again, the credibility expense of it. It was like, all right, there's some actual stuff happening. We had a big trade in the NFL happen last night. The NFL or NBA playoffs are in full swing. Like, there's other stuff to worry about than stuff that, quite honestly, is closer to the Avengers than it is the NBA.
Well, I'm going to defer to the wrestling guys here, Side Hustle Wrestling Podcast. But I would go out on a limb and say, Rob, the reason you saw and everybody saw so much ESPN coverage of the WWE is because you have to pay for ESPN to get the pay-per-views now. And because the WWE, in my opinion, did a poor job of promoting WrestleMania. There's a lot of wrestling fans that don't even know WrestleMania is going on this weekend. I was at the show last night and people were like, dude, did you know WrestleMania was on? And I was like, yeah, I
talked to my brother who has autographed title belts. He has memorable, he knows what he's doing or knew what he was doing. I told him, I said, are you watching WrestleMania tonight? And he had no idea what I was talking about.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And guys, I'm curious your guys' thoughts, Kyle and AA. It feels like ESPN was trying to save their own ass, for lack of better words, because of the poor promotion, poor booking, and build up to this WrestleMania. So the only way they could remind people that, hey, we do have a big event this weekend is by putting them as much as they could on ESPN. And that was everybody from Logan Paul to Danhausen to, what do you guys think?
Well, I think this weekend, having it this weekend, just look alone, right? This is the first weekend of the NBA playoffs. This is the first weekend of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The NFL draft is days away. We even talk about all the network promotion we're got to do here on this. So, if WrestleMania was its own weekend, like a couple weeks, before.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. It's normally around April Fool's Day, right? It's normally like that last Saturday, Sunday in March or right at the top of April, correct?
Yeah, usually beginning of April is when they do it.
And I know Easter was the first Sunday this year.
Yeah, okay.
Last weekend, the only competition last weekend was the Masters. And there's not much crossover between the Masters and professional wrestling. There's just not.
But it's an ESPN thing, too, because they also rebroadcast it. Yeah, so it's...
But Eli brings up a great point, though. This ESPN Unlimited is solely dependent on pro wrestling fans signing up and paying $30 a month. Solely. If you're looking at like a flagship program for this ESPN Unlimited to work, it's the PLEs, it's pro wrestling. It's no different for the most part than Paramount Plus taking on all the UFC PLEs and the number of events, and all of a sudden those shows look like TV shows with commercials. So that's the thing, is you're paying $30 a month for the PLEs, and you got commercials, 5-minute commercials on top of it. So they're almost trying to eat their cake and ice cream as well. Like, you can't have both. Like back in the day when we were spending $40, $50 on pay-per-views, all right, that's a lot of money, but you just got the show, the video packages, and then if there was a sponsor, it was within the framework of the show. It was like, hey, this is the Snickers moment of the night. And that's
Slim
it.
Jim.
It wasn't a whole Snickers moment of the night followed by a 3-minute commercial spot block with Snickers. Like, that's what we're getting right now.
Well, and that's how somehow TKO has maneuvered WWE into a spot, whereas somebody, again, I was really into this for a long time. I kind of keep an eye on it now, but it seems like right now WWE is about as least popular as it's ever been, while simultaneously making more money than it's ever been. Because you are talking about all these, something we never had with Vince was the ads in the ring on the canvas. I know a lot of pure wrestling fans are getting cranky about that. I don't care personally, but again, that doesn't slow down the show, so I'm pretty happy about that. But TKO is just kind of Hollywooded up WWE to a point where it's a good money making property. But anybody, you think about the hardcore wrestling fans 20, 30 years ago compared to now, they're not there anymore. I mean, and maybe if they are, they're a lot different than they used to be.
It's changed a lot, but this is also, you got to think, Vince always saw WWE as Hollywood. That was his thing. He always saw this as the end goal.
He wanted to be the Walt Disney of wrestling.
Exactly. He wanted this to be the biggest show possible and bring in the celebrities and bring in the attention and have multiple different platforms where people could view it. And it's become what he wanted. And there were some pretty dark times in the 2010s when it came to watching and viewing. I don't know if this is the least popular it's ever been, but it's close. I mean, pro wrestling right now is down. After the WrestleMania 40 stuff, me and Double A talked about it. Like, I think on the podcast and even just in general, what's the big story? Like, what's the big thing that's getting people to watch? And this goes not only for WWE, but AEW, any of these other promotions. Like, there hasn't been like a story that just took over like that did with the Bloodline, with having The Rock involved, and Cody and his own story that people were just across all of people started watching again just because they were like, yeah, The Rock's on my screen, but like this is actually really good. And like now, we talked about this. Triple H has been in charge for a couple of years. Besides capping off that story, what has he done in creative that's made us actually want to watch WWE consistently?
It seems like it's kind of the wrestling equivalent of Barry Switzer winning the Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson's Players. That seems to be what Triple H is dealing with right now. And the reason why I say that it's least popular than it's ever been, the ratings, I know they've adjusted the way that they kind of keep them.
Which is all bullshit too. That's back and forth. Nielsen.
They are, the ratings aren't great. And, you could say that, okay, and I watched a lot in the mid-aughts. You had a lot of bad booking. You had a lot of weird storylines, bad gimmicks. Okay, you can say that now too. But what you couldn't say 15 years ago was Saudi money. WrestleMania going to Riyadh. The obscene ticket prices that are going through right now. And then another question I never asked myself as a wrestling fan for 30 years, 25 years was, what channel's Monday Night Raw on? What channel's SmackDown on? No. They've been moving this stuff all around now the last couple of years, and it is money. It's all money. It's all money. But we didn't have those gripes about WWE maybe 15 years ago when John Cena was getting booed out of ECW One Night Stand. Like, that was just a bad booking and a bad show or a bad situation. I think your average wrestling fan now is a little more educated on the business side of things. So that means now we do now know the ugly side of a lot of this stuff, and that's not helping them out at all.
Rob, you just pointed out one of the great moments of pro wrestling, that John Cena ECW thing. That was a good time. I might actually go back.
2006, I think that was Double A. 2005, 2006.
I think it was the 05. I think it was the 06 One Night Stand because they ran it back after ECW, the inaugural bringing it back. Mm-hmm. Rob Van Dam, come on,
I'll never forget that sign that says, "If Cena wins, we riot."
That's how you remember the pay-per-view. I mean, but there were so many cool moments at ECW Legends. I want to ask you guys this to pivot here for a second, because I didn't get a chance to watch too much of WrestleMania. I'm going to be honest. All right? Look, I'm an honest guy. So I'm
you didn't miss much.
I didn't miss much, but that's my question to you. If I were to go back, and Rob was even referring to that, like if you were to go back and run through it, what were some highlights? Were there any highlights of the night? I mean, I saw the Liv Morgan title victory, the debut of a new theme song. I mean, it just didn't seem like they were given any time for these matches. Were there any highlights? Right? Yeah.
Well, so Paige returning was awesome. I told Double A this in the car right back from church today that like it actually almost made me cry because she's been through a lot of shit. Some of it's been self-induced and she's put herself in bad positions, but the next stuff and just the hardship she had to go through physically to get back in a ring, period. And she was at AEW for a few years, and that was rough. But
she was with Alberto Del Rio for a while too, wasn't it?
That was, yeah. If you get anywhere near that dude, you're pretty much fucked.
Well,
so
and it was kind of apropos that she made her return the same week that he got arrested for domestic violence. So
hell yeah. But like it's that was one of the moments. The tag match sucked, but that was one of the moments where that was really cool to see her back. the Gunther Seth Rollins stuff wasn't. It was a good match once they got it started, but again, Braun Breaker coming back at the end and kind of it was people. The worst thing, and I've said this too during the podcast, when wrestling becomes predictable in a bad way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, we wanted Paige to come back. I knew she was coming back. Everyone and their fucking mother had a story about it, and it was still cool to see.
Mhm.
Some
Well, you can see
stuff,
that-
though, it
you feel like
really
movies-
bears you down a lot.
Movies, TV, when it becomes that predictable, you don't want to watch it anymore.
No,
you
it's
have
like, yeah,
to roll,
if
you're
I'm
like,
watching
hey,
the Cavs play and I know they're going to beat Toronto by 20 points every night, I don't want to watch those games because I know what's going to happen. Who fucking cares? I
Mhm.
want it to be close. I still want them to win, but like I want to be entertained. That's the whole point of watching sports too, is to get lost in what's happening and be at the end of the day, be like, yeah, my team won, but I was entertained too. It's part
My,
of
I think-
my perfect example of that in movies is Miracle. Like, I'll watch Miracle 1,000 times and I'm still into it, even though I've known my entire life the U.S. wins that game, and they still do it in a way that you're like, yeah, all right, cool. But,
So my question, just to stay on the Page thing here for a second too, is I defer to like the wrestling guys, Rob. Respectfully, I don't think either one of us have a fucking clue
about
why-
life or like what?
about wrestling. No, I gotta like the,
I'll
believe.
that.
Hey, 10 years ago, believe it or not, we were all sitting around in a parking lot, and I told you guys, I know about sports. Why do I need to know anything else about life? And now look at us. All right? So now look at us. All right? All right. Now I don't know too much about wrestling as much as
Wrong
you. All right,
podcast, Eli.
here we go. I'm going to ask you guys a question about this. To stay on the Page thing here for a second. Why the Bellas? Have they explained that? I didn't get to watch too much. Why the Bellas? They had beef usually on screen, like when she was, they were beefing. So why? Is it just the OG thing? Like they're all originals? Like
They're
from
going to
friends.
have to explain that. They're going to have to explain that on Monday. It seems to me they're angling a little bit towards a like Divas era callback. Like,
Okay.
hey, our era of wrestling, I know you guys in the women's evolution did some things, but we were here too. If it wasn't for us, there would be none of this. So I do think there's going to be a little bit of a respect factor from that. Maybe that's what they're trying to push. Now, because I gave you something logical, none of that's going to happen. But
Page heel turn tomorrow night.
correct.
She might.
She might. Hey, she might. But to answer on the Bellas, because I'll give you a little bit more here. If you look at that particular match, a lot of those tag teams are really single stars that need to become single stars again. Like Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, they have done a phenomenal job as a tag team. But they were only supposed to be together for 3 weeks. They were only supposed to be together going into Kyle, am I correct to say Evolution 2? And that was it?
Well, the thing was, they did so well together. Like they actually like found out like, oh, one, Charlotte looks like she's not miserable anymore, so that's kind of fun. And then two, they didn't have tag teams. So the fact that they actually got along and people were entertained by it and like it was actually working, now it's extended, right, Double A, until WrestleMania here and maybe possibly into the future, depending on what they do with this tag team division. We're going to see probably some NXT call-ups and stuff too. But like, no, when you have two stars like that feel kind of lost, like they're not really getting in the title picture single-wise, like what are they going to do? And they get along that well together on screen. It's been I've enjoyed it. Like I actually enjoyed that. Seeing Charlotte Flair actually enjoy coming to work, because you can tell when she's fucking miserable. Like when she was by herself, chasing titles towards the end, it's like, man, she just doesn't want to fucking be here. Like it's not entertaining, it's not fun. She doesn't look like she's buying what she's selling. None of that shit. Having fun with what you do is so important, and it goes beyond wrestling. Like look at you three. Like having fun what you do with this, even though Rob says some reference shit that sometimes I don't get, even though Eli's talking to all these people at his shows, and this one girl came up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden she's the love of his life, and it's crazy, and he loves her so much, and he can't wait to spend his life with her. And even Anthony, who's in my fucking living room right now, like it's crazy. Like when you have fun doing something, it just brings it all together and makes you feel so good, and that's why that story worked for them. And I mean, it's one of the few highlights of the match is just that relationship they had together, but the match itself still sucked.
Hey, real quick, Kyle, since thank you for allowing me to tape the show at your place.
Oh, you're welcome.
Do you have an iPhone charger?
I do.
I'm at 5%. I might not make the segment.
Hold on.
Are you?
Special delivery. Hold on.
Double A is seriously. Every time I know I have,
This
he
is
comes
beautiful
over here,
live
whatever.
television.
He
Rob,
is
take this for a hot
perpetually
minute.
looking for an iPhone charger.
Yeah,
Hey, look, I'm on this one.
in the problem
Hey,
right now,
hey.
Rob, while they're getting it together, the problem with these iPhone chargers right now is they switched after the certain, like I think it's the iPhone 14, they switched it to where you have the USB-C. But if
Yeah.
you're like me and you have the iPhone 13 or below, then you have to get the Lightning. So there's times where I'm like, do you have an iPhone charger? Kyle's back. Yeah, I have a Lightning charger. And they're like, yeah, I got a Lightning charger, and they don't understand the gravity of the situation. And then they give me a USB-C charger, and I can't charge my iPhone. Like, so it's serious at times. It gets
I have
Okay.
a Droid, so I don't have to worry about such things. I just plug the damn thing into the wall and it charges.
All
Take
right.
it easy, Luke Skywalker, with all your
right.
droids.
Guys, I want to ask you about this too. Rob's got, I'm sure, a few more questions for you as well before we wrap up the segment. I wanted to ask you about just some of the other matches on this card, because I was just looking at it. You know, like we talked about the Liv Morgan match a little bit here. It seems like she was one of the stars of the night, if there was a star of the night. Just debuting the new theme song, winning the title. She's had a great year with Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. It seems like another guy that had a good night was Jacob Fatu. Are there big plans, you think, for Jacob Fatu in the future here?
Well, I think that what happens with Roman is going to be important tonight because we were talking about challengers for him. Anthony's not left the chat. Oh, wait, there he is. Yep. He wanted to peek in on my angle. No, we were talking about this like, okay, so who makes sense for Roman on Raw right now? Because he probably won't be there at Backlash. He'll be at I think that's Clash in Italy is in June. So he'll probably be there for that. No one really stands out for either of those guys. I almost want them both to just lose. And then we can just have a vacant title tournament again or something because I don't know what's next. But for Jacob, it's a spot. I mean, possibly Cody could be next. Possibly it could be Roman. I think he needs to be in the main event title scene soon because before he blinks and knows it, we're going to have Trick, we're going to have Obo, we're going to have Braun Breaker, all these guys in that spot. And Jacob may almost become forgotten at that point, which is crazy to think about because when he debuted, what was it, Double A, like a year and a half ago, something like that?
Yeah, over a year ago.
Yeah, he was the tits of the town, man. He was. Everyone was looking at her. It was crazy.
That was like people were talking about for like 2 years, 3 years beforehand, right? Like
it was everybody from Cornette to everyone in between was talking about this is a guy. Like you need to get him.
Like why is he not doing something right now? Yeah,
yeah. Like Double A still has his super bloodline theory. I hope that doesn't happen because I can't see Jacob Fatu listening to Roman Reigns. But like, still, I mean,
that is something to look out for tonight, and we'll have to see kind of how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the good guys. And the thing that stood out to me last night, the ESPN hour worked for me. That first hour, I thought it was a pretty good opener. You got recognizable names, even for casuals. I Show Speed, got to give him props. He looked ripped. He looked like he belonged at Planet Fitness, getting the workout going. Not super ripped. That's why I said Planet Fitness and not like Gold's Gym or anything, but just ripped enough to show off.
Functional fitness, right? Yeah.
Correct. To look pretty. No homo. And then from there, McIntyre and Jacob Fatu, they handle business. So I love what I saw from that first hour. It's just that main event. God, you want to see garbage? It's that main event.
So what the hell exactly happened?
I don't fucking know. Like, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton had a story. 20 years they've known each other. 20 fucking years. Why is Pat McAfee here? Like, and then he's gone immediately in the match. He gets taken out before the fucking bell rings. And then he comes back, and then Randy ends up RKOing him. What the fuck are we doing?
Well,
like,
why? Why did he RKO him?
Anthony literally sent this to me right after. And I used his full government name. I usually call him Double A. I said fucking Anthony. He sent me a text message after his only text, and he posted it on Facebook too because now I have Facebook so I can see it. Triple H should be fired. Like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck was this whole point of this story? And now that Cody got kicked in the fucking head and he can't see out of his right eye or left eye, whatever, pick what side of the camera. I don't know. It flips. Like, what the fuck? Like, am I supposed to want to see Cody and Randy anymore?
What about Jelly Roll? What about Jelly Roll hitting that splash?
Man, fuck Jelly Roll, dude. I'm tired of this shit. Listen, he makes good music and he's a star. You're not getting any more eyes on this product if Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll are involved. Then you already have You're not pulling more Pat McAfee fans that are going to be wrestling fans all of a sudden. That's done. He's pulled everyone he can.
Yeah.
Jelly Roll. He's great at what he does in there. It's great. He's good at the role. He's not pulling any more fucking new fans in. It's done.
Right.
Speed can pull more fucking fans in. I don't blame him for using them one time. That's fine. These two fuckers, they're done. Go back to hosting your show on ESPN and go back to making really good fucking music. That's what you're good at. Like, just stop. This story didn't need it.
It
Nowhere
feels
near
like
it.
Back in the day, if it was like Hogan and Andre at 3, if this was being booked that same way.
Like I was watching Lawrence Taylor and
you
Bam
were a
Bam
little
fucking
fan.
Bigelow again. I didn't want to see this shit. It's annoying. It's like, stop it.
Well, and it's Vince is always, you talk about the show, you talk about P.T. Barnum, Walt Disney, whatever here that he wanted to see himself as. He was great at having the celebrities there. If it was Bob Uecker, Cyndi Lauper, we all know, they plugged them, they still beat that dead horse all the way. The difference, though, was back in the day, with maybe the exception of Lawrence Taylor when he was taking on Bam Bam Bigelow and Mr. T, that most of the celebrities were in the crowd. They were maybe a valet. They were a guest timekeeper. They were an MC. They weren't actively part of the show.
The only two times where it worked, Rob, was with Mr. T to a point, because that brought in a lot of eyes. And then Tyson with the DX stuff and Stone Cold and all that. That was the only other time I can remember in my memory bank here where that shit looked really good and worked. You could say WCW with some of their shit, but still, like, it's whatever. Like, that's different.
Tyson worked because he was the baddest man on the planet. He was a combat athlete. That would be the equivalent of like Floyd Mayweather, too. I guess you want to put that in there, too. Even
that was fucking garbage. Let's be honest. Like, come on. Like, it's
Hey, I like the Floyd stuff. I'll give
yeah, I bet you fucking do. It's trash.
If it's somebody with some, athletic background, okay. If it is, because I think WrestleMania 2, they had an NFL Battle Royal.
Right.
But if it's somebody, and back also then too, it wasn't that Big Cat Ernie Land played in the NFL for a few years and then hopped to wrestling for more money. That was a common deal back, that era. But most of the time, if it's a singer, an actor, a host, a broadcaster, whatever, they're around it. They're not in it. And
if they are, they're not in the main fucking event with a story with two guys that have 20 years of history. They didn't need it.
But it seems like, and I know we talk about Triple H should get shit canned here, but who was this? Because this has the idea, and take the actual proper names out of it. This seemed like the WWE had a way they wanted to go, and they were going to book, Orton and Rhodes, and this was the thing that everybody had been wanting to see for years. It never had happened. This was the actual story of stories that they were going to do, and then that TKO ESPN corporate machine came in a couple weeks beforehand, much like The Rock kind of forcing himself in last year and Travis Scott wandering around, whatever. That corporate said, no, we need more star power. Put McAfee in there. People like McAfee. And, just kind of like a Jim Herd WCW kind of thing. And corporate just got in the way. I think that's the vibe that it has to me was the wrestling folks had a pretty clear idea what they wanted to do. The Hollywood guys had a difference of opinion.
I don't know, because at the end of the day, Triple H is responsible for this. And if you booked it to where they said, hey, get Pat McAfee involved and then book it however you want, we just want him involved, that's not how you book it then. Like, why? And this will always be the biggest question I have. Why is a 14-time world champion who's been around for 20-plus years listening to a fucking punter who has no experience basically in WWE? His best story was in NXT against Adam fucking Cole. What are we talking about? Like, what? Why is he fucking here? Why is Randy Orton listening to Pat McAfee? I said at some point, it's got to be, like, there's got to be more. Kevin Owens has to be around somewhere. There has to be something. Speaking of someone who could have been better on that spot, I don't know, maybe Kevin fucking Owens, because he can't wrestle right now, so he could be an earpiece for Randy Orton. And he's won a championship in WWE before, multiple times. So maybe Randy could listen to that. They were also friends at one point. Kevin went to the dark side. He pulled Randy too. That's a fucking story. If Sami Zayn, the gingerbread man, is going to be on my TV tonight, why can't fucking Kevin Owens be a mouthpiece for Randy Orton? Because it actually makes sense. And the crowd and the wrestling fans would fucking love it. They would have loved it.
we could have had, Hulk Hogan from the dead. We could have had, KO.
Whoa. No. He can stay. He can stay.
We could have had Stone Cold, whoever. The point that I'm making, though, is the way it ended with, and as you guys tell me, and I saw the replay a little bit on social media, with the stunner at the end of the match, it could have been anybody, and it would have been a shit storyline. You could have had John Tolos or Haystacks Calhoun, whoever involved, and it still wouldn't have mattered.
If Kevin Owens would have been involved, I think that the grace of the wrestling community would have been there, because Kevin is a trained professional wrestler who's won championships, and I can see Randy Orton listening to Kevin Owens. I can't see Randy Orton saying, the one person after all the years I've been in this business that's mentored me that I'm going to listen to, Pat fucking McAfee. Cody was right. That was the most true line that they gave in the entire buildup. Nobody wants to see Pat here, specifically in that role. Come back on a commentary desk, fucking eat around, high five Michael Cole, slap Corey Graves in the ass because he's twerking now. That's fun. But what are we doing? What the fuck?
If you wanted to get real about it, I know he had some other role tonight, that night. But at the same time, if you wanted to have a mouthpiece, a corner guy, I know he just retired, but why not get your old rival John Cena to be your corner guy?
I believe Randy listened to John fucking Cena about breaking the record.
People in this company that have won more titles than me. What do you have? What advice do you have?
And I guess they don't have a relationship with Ric Flair anymore because that's fell through or whatever it is. So that wasn't going to be it. Cowboy Bob would have made sense, but then it's okay. Whatever.
Right now, I mean, I haven't seen Cowboy Bob Orton in years.
Yeah, his time on camera is done, so that's why it's okay. And they try to tease it a little bit on SmackDown with Randy looking at a picture of Cowboy Bob and his grandpa. Dude, they had an opportunity. Kevin Owens would have made the most sense, and they didn't do it.
Again, it just seemed like at the tail end that the ramp up last year was the same way. It seemed like they had a pretty, maybe you could debate on how good of an idea it was.
But you know what Kevin Owens isn't doing? He's not flying back and forth from Hawaii filming B movies now. He's actually available. He's been on the pre-shows. He's been doing all this shit. He's right fucking there. And they have history. All of them do. Because Kevin's last feud was with Cody before he got hurt.
Right.
So what the fuck?
Yeah, or even with Orton, you could have had somebody who hated Cody coming into the play. Coming to the it would have been
the enemy of my enemy is my friend again. There you go.
No.
Fuck. Oh, it's a crazy story. It works. Hi, Anthony. Welcome back. I'm glad you were meandering around my apartment.
Yeah, you okay, Double A? Kyle, do you still have silverware and stuff?
No, I needed two things happened. My phone died, and before my phone died,
Okay, you're not. Never mind.
And I couldn't hear Eli and Rob. So I was trying to hear from the other room what Eli and Rob were saying, but I could hear Kyle clearly on here, on StreamYard, and from the other room. And then I couldn't text you guys because my stupid phone was dying. So
that's our program director, Double A.
Every time we bring up Hulk Hogan, this shit happens to Double A.
Every effing time we bring up Hulk Hogan, I'm not joking.
Double A's stressed. Double A's stressed when you almost
look, guys. At the end of the day, this night one sucked ass. I'm looking forward to night two.
Yeah,
I have to dip out.
Does night two have any sort of hope of bailing this shit show out, or is this still kind of screwed?
It does. It doesn't mean it's going to.
Night two, there's a chance. Actually, real quick, Kyle needs to go to Sweeties.
Yeah.
See you, Kyle.
Before they close. Let's send Kyle to Sweeties before they close.
All right, Kyle, have a good one. Wow. Okay, have a good one.
No, he
Get out of here.
Because Sweeties close at 5:00. Real quick to answer your question about night two tonight, it's going to open with Brock Lesnar, Obafemi. That alone, I think if there's one match that they've done right from the build, everything, is you should see a big man passing of the torch type of situation. And the card overall looks better for night two. Thank you, buddy. Looks better with night two, but we'll see what happens. And one other point I wanted to bring up, Rob, to your point about credibility to crossover. We talked about Stephen A. Smith being at WrestleMania. Cool, great. How's he going to come on First Take tomorrow morning and break down New York Knicks basketball when they played at the exact same time as WrestleMania.
He'll do it like he does the other 4 days a
Like
week.
he already got in trouble last
year
year because he was caught playing solitaire during the NBA Finals. So
he'll just fake it. That's what he's great at. I mean, we can talk, we can take a second and kind of smack on him for a while, but no, he knows exactly what his producers tell him and no more or no less. I mean, he's thinking about presidential runs and all this other bullshit. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing the sun set on Stephen A. Over the next couple of years, because I think I'm not alone with the idea of this is just getting a little tired. But yeah, they're gonna have him do it. They're gonna. Well, I watched. He'll make a big old story about it. Goes, I was in Vegas and they took a midnight flight over to Madison Square Garden to get there just in time for the third quarter. But nobody saw you there. Well, I was there. That kind of stuff. Yeah, they'll just. But
somehow it'll be your fault.
Oh yeah, but the one thing and what we're talking with Kyle and I know we just got a couple of minutes left before we take a break here. I think one thing that's kind of messing with the WWE is the same thing that's messing, especially WrestleMania, that's messing with late night TV and the Oscars. Because I had roughly the same reaction to WrestleMania that I would with anything going on with those, with Colbert, with the Oscars, any award show. No, I'm not going to watch it. If there's anything cool that happens, I'm sure I'll get a highlight of it on social media. So I think you might be getting a lot of people that are just like, you know what? I'm not going to sit through an hour of commercials, 90 minutes of ring entrances for only ultimately 80 minutes of wrestling. And that 80 may not all be 5-star anyway. So, yeah, I mean, it's just as easy for me to save the time, pop onto the WWE Facebook page, see Cody with the bloody eyes, see the stunner, and see Paige's return, and what the Trick Williams off the big that big jump off the ring post. Okay, what else did I miss that were the highlights?
Yeah, and I think also
just say 4 hours.
I know I know next segment we're going to transition over to our local teams here, but it's kind of the same issue here. So think about, yesterday, all right, you got to have Prime Video to watch the NBA playoffs and Cavs and to watch the Cavs. Then you got to go to ESPN, the ESPN app to watch WrestleMania. Then you got to also go to Guards TV, their app, to watch the Guards. And these streaming platforms, unlike cable, where at least with cable, you can switch back and forth between channels. You're at one hub, and that's it. And if your phone died, like mine just did, you're out of luck.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why, this is why in the new generation here, your average, if all of us were to talk to our dads and grandparents about the TV, man cave, that kind of entertainment, and that kind of discussion, the fact that I have two 50-inch TVs in this room and can consider a use for a third is why we're here, what we're at, because I got the Guardians on one, I got the NBA playoffs on the other. I can't flip and see what Jose did and then watch Boston beat, whoever here. So you need the multiple screens. That's the way out of it, but not everybody has the internet bandwidth or, $300-400 a pop for every one of these TVs. So yeah, it is. Yeah, that is. I wish there was a way that you could kind of navigate between the streamers, like you would any sort of cable package.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean it's
I agree. 100%.
Yeah, streaming stopping a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's a WrestleMania night too tonight. Double A. Can't wait to hear your reaction. Hopefully you're a little bit more calm.
Yeah, I highly doubt that'll happen. But yeah, we'll take a quick. What's up?
And before we take a pause, Double A just sent Kyle out to BA Sweeties, and I'm pretty sure Double A has some words on BA Sweeties, our very good friend of the program.
Mm-hmm.
I do, and here's the beauty of it. When Kyle comes back, you're going to see some of the popcorn that they have at BA Sweeties. Hopefully, they have the Buffalo Ranch. That's what we're hoping for. But they have a ton of great flavors at BA Sweeties, great popcorns, the classic treats you can get, as well as the wacky treats that you can receive as well. And some of you may not know this, but there's a difference between getting a regular can of pop that Rob is consuming right now and the glass sodas
Bottle?
with
Yeah.
sugar cane flavoring. You get that at BA Sweeties. Again, Interstate 480. Yeah, the bottle. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Interstate 480, the Ridge Road exit, make a left on Brook Park Road, and the giant lollipop is there. Go right in. And if you have an order that's $40 or more, if your cart is worth $40 or more, mention the word lollipop. And you see the address there, 677 Brook Park Road in Cleveland. Mention the word lollipop at checkout if your order is $40 or more, and you will receive $5 off of your order. It'll take off $5 of your order at BA Sweeties. Again, this is an in-store promotion only. Mention the word lollipop. If your order is $40 or $40 or more, BA Sweeties, you got time. I mean, you can say hello to Kyle. He's going to be there until 5 o'clock. Say hello to Kyle Cornell, proud sponsor of the Side Hustle podcast, all of our stuff here at the Inside Edge Network. Rob, over to you.
All right. Yes. BA Sweeties. For all of you folks that can still ingest sugar, I'd say go over there. No problem. But yeah, this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We have a lot to talk about with the local teams coming up. The Guardians actually went final as we were talking about WrestleMania. They defeat the Baltimore Orioles 8-4. We got the Cavaliers in action. They were yesterday. They ended up taking game one pretty easily against Toronto. And of course, I guess we could probably just tape me saying this and replay it for the next 10 years. The Browns are still looking for a quarterback and are still wondering in the draft. So, yeah, we'll get into the local sports scene coming up next. We'll have some news and notes following that, figure out what we've learned, and then Double A can sit and watch another thoroughly entertaining night of WrestleMania that I'm sure he will be completely happy with the entire way. But yeah, this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We got Double A, we got Eli Moon. I am Rob Rozycki, and we will be right back.
Hey, I got something to show you guys. Take a look. It is spring. Happy spring to all of you. Take a look at what we have here for you from allyrosefragrances.com. Beautiful spring scent candles here for you. Hand poured with premium fragrance and essential oils. How about this? Our coconut soy wax candles bring fresh, uplifting spring scents to your home. Made with clean, natural ingredients, they're a mindful choice for sensitive spaces and those who love effortless seasonal fragrances. You got to check it out right now. There's the soft bloom and the lemon bar candles, all healthy ingredients, all from allyrosefragrances.com. And if you're a first-time customer, use the promo code InsideEdge20. That's InsideEdge20. Get this for yourself, for your friends, family, everyone. You want a good-smelling home, allyrosefragrances.com will make it happen. Again, allyrosefragrances.com. Get the new spring candles. And when you order, if you're a first-time customer, InsideEdge20 is the promo code.
Whether you're searching for a baseball autographed by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the web's leading source of authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and player. Not only will you find your next prized sports possession with ease thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, but you'll have the satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the sportsmemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee.
And welcome back to the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I'm Rob Rozycki. I was sitting here staring at my TV trying to figure out who the hell Peter Rosenberg was and why he's talking about wrestling. But yes, we do have AA Anthony Alford. We have Eli Moon. Kyle Cornell is still en route and probably coming back now from BA Sweeties, unless he got mobbed by a group of adoring fans. We don't know. But yes, we move on from the world of WWE and all of the predetermined sports and come back to what we hope anyway, as long as Emmanuel Clase is not involved, the non-predetermined sports. We're going to go a little bit local right now. Guardians just wrapped up. They beat the Orioles 8-4. Brian Rocchio had a big day. Jose Ramirez also a big day, a Jose day. He had a couple of home run solo shots. But yeah, except for a blip on Friday in Baltimore, the Guardians have looked pretty good throughout the first few games of this season.
Yeah, no, they have. And, you know, I'm really happy with so far with the pitching staff. I was one to say maybe they, you know, I've been very vocal on the network saying that, hey, you know, maybe the Guardians don't have the pitching staff they had in 2016. And it's okay to accept that. You know, these guys are going to go 5, maybe 6 innings, and we got to be okay with that. And then Parker Messick came into the rotation and became the 5th starter, and a lot has changed for the Guardians since then. I mean, going 8-0 hit innings over the weekend. I mean, I believe it was Friday night. It was a riveting game. I even got to listen to some of it on the radio. I mean, everybody's tuned in Cleveland. I'm calling my cousins and I'm telling them, look, you gotta get. I'm not allowed to say what's about to happen, but you got to get on the radio right now, and you got to listen. And I was also, I already ruined it that he had a no-hitter going, so I blame myself. But I think it's so cool for Parker Messick. I think it was so cool to see Gavin Williams follow that up with another strong performance. I know AA's raved about him here. And I just think it's so cool to see the pitching rotation, Rob. That's been the biggest standout for me. The offense comes in bunches. And, I mean, I'm okay with the offense because it's at least more alive than it was last year. And I'll live with that. The Guardians are never going to be the Dodgers of lineups. But if some of these guys can start, you know, waking up more, and we knew Jose's bat would come around, yeah, he's Jose Ramirez. But these other guys, Manzardo and some of these younger guys, Schneeman's surprising. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I just feel like this was a very important series, though. I know it's April, I get it, but especially after dropping the ball, the bullpen shaky there in St. Louis, you know, just having 2 rough series there, you know, especially after Atlanta. I think this was an important series for the Guardians to come back home, take care of Baltimore, and they did so.
Yeah, the one glaring problem with this 4-game set was why it wasn't a sweep. It was, and actually Messick's no-hitter was on Thursday.
Yes.
On Friday, what ended up happening, Daniel Schneemann had a grand slam home run. in the 7th inning, and then the bullpen followed it up by melting down and allowing 6 runs right immediately thereafter. And Moon, when you talk about the starting staff, they have been great by and large. I mean, for as good as you can kind of expect anybody to be. Parker Messick, I think, will be the ace of the staff when it's all said and done with it, if not Gavin Williams. Tanner Bybee lost in that bullpen meltdown. He actually had a pretty good bounce back outing. I believe it was 5 innings of shutout ball. So, the starting staff has looked great. But the big thing right now for a Guardians fan is, for the first time in a long time, a couple years anyway, the bullpen seems fallible. The bullpen is not locked down. The bullpen is not perfect. And I know I have to remind myself every so often that major league relievers do occasionally allow a hit or two. And then even once in a while, they will give up a run or two. It has happened before. In fact, and this could be a stat of the day, no team has ever gone an entire 162 game season without allowing a run out of the bullpen. So I do have to remind myself that. But at the same time, a 4-0 lead in the 8th inning at home, that used to be something that, just lick the stamp, seal the envelope, and mail that thing right in because we're good to go. Now, Cade Smith is not Emmanuel Clase. The setup guys are not quite what they were a couple of years ago. And the Guardians are showing that. And, the offense is what the offense is. But they can get away with that if the bullpen is locked down. You're not good enough. You're not talented enough to overcome this kind of a bullpen if this does kind of progress.
Let me address the negative first, because I think there are a lot of positives. But let me get to the negative first. In terms of regular season, is Friday night like one of the worst ways to lose a game? Because I think so. I mean, you have a grand slam and then almost immediately give up a lead, just like that. I have to imagine that's one of the worst ways to lose a sporting event in the regular season.
Well, it was also even more frustrating, AA, because the Gardos in the first inning had the bases loaded. They got the lead runner on the next 3 innings. They had a runner on in the 5th inning. They had runners on first and second and first and third in the 6th. Sneeman hit the grand slam, a 1-2-3 inning in the 8th, and they had a runner on in the 9th. I mean, they had 10 runners on base that are still standing there, and that's why the offense, that's why I keep on saying, like, bro, if you had the Yankees offense, you had 9 runs that day, but you have the Guardians offense, so you had 4. And that's why
what happened. And I'll reference back to Sunday Night Baseball last weekend. That's what happened with the Atlanta game. Like last Sunday when the Guardians were demolished. Like, we had multiple runners on base in scoring position, and we could not bring them home. And that's the next – that if the Guardians – because the Guardians overall, what they have shown in how they have handled this schedule, they have a strong opportunity to do something special. But if you want this offense to really, really bring it home, they got to deliver. There's got to be like 2 or 3 guys, other than Jose Ramirez, that can consistently bring home runs, can bring the runs home. That has to happen. And so far, we haven't seen that. But again, I have to be mindful too of the schedule. I have to be mindful of the wackiness of the schedule, especially early on. Like, this is not normal. This is not normal. I heard Hammy, I think he was on with WHBC, Kenny Rhoda, his show. And he said, look, if this team going in, if the Guardians could be at 500 by the end of April, he even said just a game or 2 under 500, but afloat, then you're off and running for the rest of the season. So, again, I pinpoint the one negative from Friday, and that's huge. I would have been pissed if I would have went to the game Friday. But it's good to see the Guardians get back on track these last few days.
The one guy that's really going to have to figure this out is Kyle Manzardo. He's hitting 180 right now. I believe he has 1 home run, but he hasn't looked good pretty much all year. He is the cleanup hitter. In that debacle in that bullpen game, One thing that is kind of lost again with the bullpen meltdown, Jose Ramirez went 0 for 1 in that game with 4 walks. And he was the runner on in the 9th inning. They gave him a pity walk, even though they were up by a couple of runs, because they had that little respect for Kyle Manzardo. Now, he wasn't in the lineup today. They were facing a lefty, so they had they had all the left-handed bats out there, or the right-handed bats out there. But when Manzardo's in there, there's literally Jose is sitting at that 3 spot in the order with his ass hanging in the breeze, and Baltimore figured it out. I'm waiting to see how many other teams will do the same, because Baltimore has kind of 2 things with Jose right now. They can either walk him 4 times or he hits 2 home runs. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what would you rather do? And when you don't really have any fear in Kyle Manzardo or in Bo Naylor, I know he had a home run yesterday, or any of these other guys that are directly behind him, that makes Jose pretty useless. And so either Manzardo has to figure this out, or the Guardians have to figure out another cleanup hitter.
Yeah, I mean, they got to get creative. I mean, that's what it really is. You already seen that with Brian Rocchio, and when Gabriel Arias was healthy, they had moved them from, the 6 and 7 to the 8 and 9, I believe, at one point. They were just maneuvering them around from that bottom of the line, trying to figure out a way to get them going. And you've seen creativity already with the Guardians lineup. I know they like DeLauder in that 2-hole or 6-hole, just depending on the day, but I mean, maybe even him in the cleanup spot. Just somebody with some pop, somebody that they're going to respect, Rob, to your point. Somebody that the other opposing defenses, opposing pitchers are going to respect and know, okay, if we walk Jose Ramirez, there is an opportunity that 2, if there's another guy on it, could be 3, could be 4 runs coming home in a blink of an eye. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, obviously you want typically the cleanup spots reserved for your first baseman, your designated hitter, your big pop guy, sometimes your catcher, just depends. But I really, at this point, I don't care who it is. I just want the best guy to bring in runs. It doesn't necessarily need to be a home run hitter, because the Guardians have won off a small ball. We were a rain delay away. You talked about the worst ways to lose a game. I keep thinking of Game 7 in 2016.
I said regular season. Season.
Okay. But you think about that, and I just want guys to bring runs home. That's what the Guardians need. It doesn't need to be a home run per se, but I think just bringing the runs home, and if that's creativity, if that's playing small ball, so be it. I mean, I don't want to pull the Bazana train yet. I'm not there yet. I love Bazana. I don't think he should be coming up right this instant. But these types of offensive slumps from the guys you were counting on do make teams get antsy in terms of bringing it up. And you see other teams like the Pirates bringing up Connor Griffin and these other squads. How long until Bazana does start getting looked at like, hey, you ready, kid?
Well, the thing is, and a lot of that's going to have to do with a couple of guys on the roster right now. Juan Brito, even though he had a double and a couple of RBIs today, since that impactful debut couple games that he had, has not looked good. Has not looked good in the field either. Had a couple of big costly errors. Actually did have an error in that bad game on Friday. Mm-hmm. So, okay, if it's not going to be him, who's it going to be? The one dude that we're looking at, and you talk about, bringing in runs and having productive at-bats and constantly being a decent threat at the plate, is the dude who hit that grand slam on Friday, Daniel Schneemann. Mm-hmm. Now, the Guardians would be at a conundrum with him. Do you want to put him at second base full-time, which there is room for that? Or right now, they have a utility guy who is a plus defender in center, at short, at second, at third, and can play the corner outfielders in first. So they have probably, if you look at the lineups, Daniel Schneemann's been in the lineup every day. Today was third. Yesterday was short. The day before it was second base. I think he's had a left field appearance, center field for sure. Do they want to just kind of keep him as the everyday utility guy, or do they want to put him at 2 at second base overall? I think a lot of that is what he's going to want to do and what Bazana is doing. Because if Travis is coming up and warrants a call up, then okay, put him at second. But if you don't force it, don't do this right now. We have the number 1 overall pick from a year and a half ago who hasn't made the major leagues yet. Let's not go crazy right now. Because if you bring him up at this point in time, the major league clock starts. So arbitration starts going right then and there. And B, if he comes up and he hits $110 in 6 weeks, you send him down. What is that ultimately going to do? So if he's ready, bring him up. If not, don't.
Yeah, but you also got to buy into the fact that, you see the Pirates, and I know the Pirates aren't the model organization to always face off, but other teams are doing it as well. They're bringing in their young prospects and they're elevating them early. Connor Griffin's not having the greatest start in Pittsburgh, but they definitely inked him to a long-term extension already. So I think it's just showing that these teams are willing to go through the struggles with the guys that they bought into heavy, and Travis Bazana's the first overall pick. I'm with you, though, Rob. If he's not ready, don't bring him up for the sake of trying to create a spark that's not there. But if he's ripping the cover off the ball, there is no other place for him than second base. I'm not trying to get creative with him in terms of can he play outfield? Can he do this? Yeah,
second base or DH, whatever.
Exactly. So that's where I'm at, AA.
I have a bone to pick with both of you and the baseball audience.
Okay.
So this no-hitter thing, I got to get this off my chest. Why are we not allowed to say when somebody is en route of a no-hitter? I just want to know why.
Bad luck.
Why is that?
I've never, the way that I look at it, you don't walk up to the pitcher in the dugout and say, hey, you got a no-hitter through 5 going. You don't do that.
I get that. That I get. I'm talking about us.
If I'm up in the booth calling the game, if I'm sitting in the stands watching the game or at TV, at home watching it on TV or on the radio, then yeah, I mean, I think I was texting it to, I threw out a deal in the group chat. I don't know if I said no hitter, but it is what it is. Like there's nothing that I can do sitting in a parking lot in Fairview or sitting in my living room up here that's going to impact anything Parker Messick is doing at the corner of Carnegie and Ontario.
Yeah, but words are powerful, and if you're saying something that hasn't happened in the game yet, and you don't knock on wood or
words are powerful if he can hear them.
He can hear it. They were in Cleveland.
Well, here's the thing. If we're going to go all angels in the outfield on this thing here for a second, we're living by this whole, don't say anything, don't say anything. It hasn't worked for us in 45 effing years. Maybe for once.
That's why I don't care. That's honestly I'm waiting for it to happen. I don't think, there are some superstitions in baseball, I guess, that are, that you do keep an eye on. But yeah, you don't go up to the pitcher himself, or you don't go up to a batter and say, hey, you got 3 home runs in your first 3 at bats. Like,
oh, yeah.
You don't do that. It's like going up to a bowler, like, hey, you're perfect through 8 frames. Like, you don't need to get somebody's head like that.
I would do that to one of you too if we were bowling. I actually would do that. I would go up to you guys because I suck at bowling. So
we know.
What do you mean we know?
I have a video I think still on one of my social medias of you going, "This is for everybody I love," and you had no bumpers and you completely missed it. Like the whole.
I picked up the wrong ball. Okay.
Okay.
It wasn't the right hole size. It was the wrong thing. Look, listen. I felt so bad for Parker because, listening to it on the radio and listening to Stephen Vogt after the game, like I've never heard a manager across baseball say, I really thought he had it. I thought he had that no-hitter.
Well, it was a soft single, too, from what I remember. It wasn't even like a hard-hit ball. It wasn't anything it was just a cue shot that just found its way through the infield.
Mm-hmm. I felt so much pain through the radio hearing Stephen Vogt talk about Messick because it was right there. Robbie, you're at TAM, Dennis Maniloff, when he did the post game after. And again, D-Man, our buddy D-Man, he's, he roots for Cleveland sports, but, journalistic integrity and all that stuff. I heard pain in his voice because it was right there.
Well, yeah, and I think, for the fans, it's a little different, too, because, we talk about the World Series drought, going all the way back to 48. But we've had that, and you alluded to it before, we've had a, no-hit drought. I think I was the only one out of the 3 of us who were alive, and I was 1 when Len Barker threw that perfect game. And, we always make jokes in town about how the paid attendance was about 8,000 people, but 30 years later, if you ask around town, about 400,000 were actually at that, will claim that they were at that stadium. But yeah, I mean, so we have been waiting for that specifically a lot longer than I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I want to say we have the longest drought of that kind.
We do.
There might be some newer teams that have never had one, but yeah, I think for anybody who was playing baseball in '83, we have the longest drought for a no-hitter. So I can understand that from a fan perspective, because you do, part of you says, all right, you do want to see the World Series, and you're never turning that down. You will definitely even take that over the no-hitter. But the World Series, 162 has to go right. 3 more series have to go right, and then you got to win the World Series. For a no-hitter, we haven't seen that in a while, but that's something that you can get amped up for in one night. That is just 3 magical hours instead of 7 magical months. And the odds of that happening should be a little lower than that. But I think that's why, fans kind of get caught up. Anytime, with Gavin Williams last year, he had 1 through 8 1/3 in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And, when that hit about 5 or 6, I think like most baseball fans did, Cleveland fans did perk up, because you've never seen that before. So
the only thing I'll say, and I know we're out of time, the only thing I'll say, I understand the players, I understand the staff, I understand everybody that has direct access to a starting pitcher to Messick. Like, hey, don't say anything. They all know. We can say something.
Yeah.
We can say something.
Oh, for what it's worth.
Don't blame Hammy for mentioning the no-hitter threat. Like, we can say something. We're not talking to him. And this whole, I go to Twitter, oh, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. It hasn't worked in 45 years. Maybe next time, let us actually say something.
Double A, I'm going to disagree with both of you. If I'm ever at a baseball, which I will be, at a baseball game, and there is a no-hitter going on, and one of you tell me that, as I'm already probably aware, I'm going to be a little upset.
Why?
I still love you. Because you're jinxing it.
Well, there's also ways to talk around it, too.
Hasn't worked already?
There's definitely somebody that says it every time, I'm sure.
But, there's thing is, if you're watching a game, if I'm watching a game next to you, I might even bring that up with, okay, he's, went through the lineup once, no hits, 3, we're through 3, if it's just kind of a common thing. But the other way to do it too is if we're all 3 at the game together and I want to make note of that to you, Moon, I'll look at you and say, hey, look at the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And let you put it together.
Yeah.
You can mention it without saying the words. He's got a no-hitter going.
Moon, how subtle do we need to be?
Just don't say the words he's throwing a no-hitter. Be like, he's having a really good game right now. He has 9 strikeouts. He's gone through 17 batters. He has 9 strikeouts.
That's
pretty incredible. I think the text message I sent to my boss was, hey, turn on the Guardians game. Something special's happening.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's okay. I'm cool with that, because special could be they're about to hit a grand slam. Special could mean that they're about to have Cade Smith about to have 1, 2, 3 inning. I mean, special could be a ton of different things. Double A.
Special could be Stephen Vogt getting thrown out of the game. That doesn't narrow down what is happening at the very moment.
Well, I guess you're going to have to tune in and see what's going on with guards ball.
But, again, I don't care. At that rate, unless I'm the one who's throwing the no-hitter, or catching the no-hitter or whatever the case may be. But, I'm not. Okay. If Tom Hamilton from that booth and that Hall of Fame induction speech can say the words no-hitter in a booth, I'll be okay with that.
Can you imagine the PA announcer? All right, through 8 innings, Parker Messick is throwing a no-hitter.
No.
Oh, yeah, and the graphic is the scoreboard, and yeah.
Dude, that would be a real tough day for the production team and everybody in the ops booth, the communication. It'd be rough.
Is that a fireable offense? If you did that in a high school game, Rob, if you did that in a high school game, if you're a PA announcer at a high school game.
Oh, dude, you can't.
And the starting pitcher at the home school is going for a no-hitter, and you announce it on the PA system. Is that a fireable offense?
Yeah. That's
1,000%. At least a meeting in the office. What the heck were you thinking of?
You might not finish the game.
Yeah. They're going to wonder what the color commentator is doing the rest of the innings.
And if you do it about the opposing team's pitcher, the pitcher and manager might want to fight you.
Yeah.
So you might have a whole different set of problems.
Yeah.
But I guess what we're talking about this and we'll transition to the Cavs real quick. I don't know if you guys have seen what the Padres are doing, what their closer is. And this floored me when I saw He has thrown, I think he's had 9 appearances all year. He's had 30 batters faced. He struck out 73% of them. He has like 24 strikeouts, 23 strikeouts in 30 batters. And he has had now 24 straight batters retired, 20 via strikeout. So my question, and this is just kind of a baseball dippy, baseball stat, stupid stuff. Yeah. If Mason Miller goes out for his next appearance for the Padres and has a 1-2-3 inning, that means he will have retired 27 batters in a row. That's a perfect game.
No, it's not.
Should he get any credit for that?
No, because he's not doing it in one game.
I mean, he's doing it against different lineups though, on different days. I mean,
doesn't matter. He's getting the rest the entire 8 innings. Now, when he goes out and throws 9 innings and doesn't walk or give up a hit, that is a perfect game.
Okay, so are you then a fan of the combined no hitter, where if Parker Messick threw it over to Cade Smith in the 9th and they got a 1-2-3 and it was a combined no hitter, would that have counted because Parker did not throw all 9 innings?
Yeah, it would have been called a Guardians no hitter, not a Parker Messick no hitter. Yeah,
I don't have any distinct feeling either way on that, but I was just kind of wondering, like, 27 batters in a row. I don't care how many games it's over, but that's still.
Yeah, it's still impressive. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to act like it's not impressive, but for the sake of the argument, it's not a perfect game. Me and Pops were actually arguing about Luis Arias, I believe, from the Giants. They were talking about how he had a consecutive game hit streak, but it was spanning from last season. And I said, how does that count for the hits? The most hits in a consecutive hit streak. I don't think that was
one game
either.
we never had to play. I think Pete Rose, his might have been over 2 seasons, but DiMaggio's was not over 2, anything like that. That we never had to play that game.
Right, so that kind of falls into the same category, I would say, for me at least.
Well, and also Luis Arias, the only person in Major League history to win a batting title 3 years in a row while playing for 3 different teams. This is the main event on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We're doing our local chat right now, talking a little Guards ball. They are right now sitting at the top of the Central Division, which doesn't mean much, but hey, at least we're not the Mets. We haven't lost 10 in a row, and we're not dead and buried by the end of this month here. So yeah, happy, joy. Another team that's not dead and buried, that is embarking really on their second season. The Cleveland Cavaliers were in action yesterday, a comfortable win against the pesky Toronto Raptors. I don't know about it with you guys, gentlemen. I had a chance to watch most of the game. I was very happy with the way the Cavaliers were conducting themselves. They looked like a grown team. They looked like that team that we've seen the last couple of years that have shrunk in the playoffs, that have kind of missed the moment. That team did not look like it was the same one. You had a stretch in the second quarter where Tony Brothers decided that it was going to be the Tony Brothers show. And most of the time I've seen the Cavaliers under this current incarnation fold up pretty quick in a situation like that. They moved on. They overcame the bad foul calls. It was a tight game pretty much in the first half. And then they pulled away in the third quarter, and it was really just kind of cruise control after that. But by and large, I'm very happy with what the Cavaliers did. Donovan and Harden show up. Max Strus was pretty much the difference maker. I think a lot of people were making a big deal about how the Cavaliers did not have James Harden for the 3 regular season matchups against the Raptors. They also didn't have Strus either. So I think Strus made his presence felt for sure. But I don't know. Cavs up 1-0 with a 126-113 win over those Raptors. How are we feeling, gentlemen?
I feel really good. It's one game. Great. But I wanted to bring this up real quick that Chris Fedor mentioned on Twitter. Dean Wade had the assignment of guarding Brandon Ingram. And not only did he just lock him down, Ingram scored just 2 points, 2 of his 17 points when Dean Wade guarded him. So you want to look at defensive effort. And I mentioned on one of the programs, or I mentioned on the preview show here on the network, defensively, can you find someone to kind of recreate what Isaac Okoro did for this team defensively in the playoffs? One game, Dean Wade handled business. I also like to, on top of everything you just mentioned, Rob, I'll just add on the core four. One of those four players was on the floor almost the entire game. I think the last 2 minutes of garbage time in the fourth quarter, they were all out. But you are seeing the firepower of Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. And if they're at their absolute peak, again, I think on the floor, the Cavaliers, when those four are playing, we have 4 of the top 6, top 7 of the 10 players that's on the floor at any given time.
Yeah.
So you have that necessary firepower, Eli, and it really, really showed here in game one. I know the Raptors are going to obviously make their adjustments for game 2, and the Cavs need to be ready for it. But Cavaliers in game 1, after the Raptors kind of tested them early on, and Tony Brothers as well, Eli, like what I saw for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, very incredible. Great performance. Don't like to toot my own horn, but I did predict 122-107 on the Cavs pregame show with the guys on illegal formation yesterday. So I was pretty close. And, I just felt like this series is just, there's too much firepower, Double A. Like you're bringing it up, and Rob, touched on it there. It's really just a matter of the Cavs, and we heard, the Cavs radio voice, Tim Alcorn, on our Cavs preview show last week, earlier this week. Geez, what a long week. But talking about the 10-man rotation they could really run out there. And when Thomas Bryant's healthy, 11. They have an opportunity really here. Jalen Tyson didn't have the greatest of games. I mean, he shot pretty poorly. Sam Merrill wasn't Money Merrill all the way. But Max Strus gave a lot off the bench. They're giving effort. They're giving minutes. And when the ball starts falling a little bit more, these shots are going to fall for Jalen Tyson. It fell all season for him from behind the arc. The shots are going to fall for Sam Merrill. So when those start falling, I don't even think we've seen the best version of this Cavaliers team. I think they are really starting to hit their stride, which makes me happy. If you were to tell me I feel better about a 4-seed Cavaliers team this year better than the 1-seeded Cavaliers team last year, I'd call you crazy. But I feel a lot better. I know it's one game. We'll see how they look, in game 2, obviously tomorrow. But I truly think the way they're moving and the fact that early on Toronto was swarming on defense, absolutely swarming. The Cavaliers couldn't breathe on defense. They were just making them feel them. And I was like, looked at Papa Moon. I was watching the game with him. I said, I don't know if the Cavs are going to be able to withstand this defensive onslaught the whole game. And the Cavs said, you know what? We're going to run with you too. You want to run? Let's run. And they beat them at their own game, and that's super important. This is a momentum-building series for the Cavaliers. I do think they'll handle business again tomorrow. And I will have coverage, obviously, for you here on the Inside Edge Network. Make sure you follow it, Inside Edge Net. But, yeah, Rob, I really think the Cavaliers are starting to find their stride right now. You think about it, this is really, the fourth month of, fourth month of James Harden really being a Cavalier. So it's like,
he hasn't played 30 games after the Cavs, I don't think.
Right. So it'd be about a time where they start meshing, really, really meshing. And it just is coming at the perfect time for the Cavaliers.
Well, the other thing that's coming at the perfect time for the Cavaliers, the reason why you saw all 4 core 4 members, in case I said that 3 times fast, why you saw them on the court and they were pretty much dominating the first 46 minutes of the game, they were all healthy.
Yeah.
This team is healthy. They were, Thomas Bryant, you mentioned, was hurt. He was the only injury they had. And if your third big man is the only injury you have, then great. So, yeah, we finally now get to see what this fully healthy, Cavaliers incarnation does look like. And even past that, too, I was pleased with the confidence and the patience they were playing with. Because you mentioned in that first half, in that first quarter especially, Toronto's not known for a 3-point game. They don't shoot the 3 well. I think they're 18th in attempts, and I think they're even lower than that in makes. So they're not they kill you in the mid range. They kill you going to the hole. They don't do the 3. You saw in that first quarter they were shooting 3s and they were actually hitting them. Mm-hmm. You saw the defense moving around. And, if you had the luxury of listening to the radio call, Jim Jones, been there, done that, all he was saying the entire time was stay calm, stay the course, play your game. And maybe in a lot of times we would have seen that team freak out, maybe even the coach freak out if it's Atkinson or JV, and try to make something out of nothing, try to squeeze blood from a stone. You didn't have to do that. It was like Novocaine. That game, you just let it take enough time and it's going to work. And you saw what happened, and they really pulled away in that third quarter. And it was really a controlled environment after that. I was very pleased with the fact that Toronto didn't have a chance to get into the game with 6-7 minutes to go. There was no sort of push or comeback or anything like that. The Cavaliers handled everything that was thrown at them. So, yes, good job. And I think also, too, the fact now that they looked like this against Toronto gives me a lot more confidence that if they were to get through this thing, they're going to look the same way against Detroit or Orlando. So what this first game was, and I understand it was just one game at home, but all of the things that we wanted to see the Cavaliers improve upon. We knew they had the talent. Double A, you could say the same thing about the Cavaliers having 6 of the 8 best players on the floor against the Magic last year, against the Knicks last year. Like, the talent's been there between the ears, the poise, the maturity, the confidence, the physicality. All that was there, at least for that first game. So right now, anyway, those big question marks that we all had after they lost to Indianapolis last year, after the Pacers just left us in the dust, saying we need to get stronger, we need to get tougher mentally, we need X, Y, and Z. Harden has helped that out. Keon Ellis has helped that out. Dennis Schroeder has helped that out. And yes, even Donovan Mitchell, kind of still in that alpha role, has helped that out. So right now, anyway, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Game 2 will be in Cleveland. And then more importantly, we'll see what happens in games 3 and 4 north of the border. But we'll see what happens. But right now, I am very happy with where the spot the Cavaliers are in one game into this.
And one last quick point, because I know we got 30 seconds. This is only the 8th game where this core 4 has started together. Tomorrow will be game 9 of this core 4 starting together.
Everybody gets to the stadium, okay, yes.
So I think, right. So I think they're going to get a lot of those minutes because they need to see, and Kenny Atkinson needs to see how they look together. And that's why if they can open these games up, you got to experiment with some of these rotations. But yeah, off to a phenomenal start.
Mm-hmm. And we do have some playoff action happening right now before we get out of here. Apparently, the Suns are just the sacrificial lamb to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're up 72-56 right now. About midway through the third quarter, another game is final. Talk about sacrificial lambs. I think the process has concluded in Philadelphia. The Celtics 123, the Sixers 91. Looks like both of those teams playing today are going to have no problem rolling in the first round. A lot of action yesterday. The playoffs are in full swing, everybody. So good stuff. But yes, this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We are going to take a quick break right now. We'll be coming back here with an abbreviated news and notes, and we'll figure out what we've learned. And then hopefully Double A will be right in his chair ready to go for the 6 o'clock start time for WrestleMania. What Brock and Obi are on ESPN, I saw. So yeah, you want to get that going. But yeah, we'll take a quick little respite, come on back, and then finish this puppy up. We'll see you soon.
clean energy, bold flavors, no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Clean energy, no jitters or crash. Helps you lock in and focus. Over 15 absolute fire flavors to choose from. Visit Dubby.gg and use promo code InsideEdge10. Mosser Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Ryan and Hallie Mosser. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northern Ohio, but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more at MosserMomentsPhotography.com.
Welcome back to the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I am Rob Rozycki. We have AA Anthony Alford, Eli Moon, and we have an abbreviated final segment because WrestleMania starts in 28 minutes. All right, let's do some quick news and notes here. I guess to start out with, we have the one thing that popped my eye was the Luka Doncic and the Cade Cunningham dilemma with these postseason awards. They both appealed to the NBA to reconsider their stance on the 65-game rule. Cunningham had a collapsed lung where he missed about the back third of the season. Luka, he was missing throughout here and there with injuries and a suspension, by the way. And the last two games he missed were because of the birth of a child, from what I gather. They both were good to go with their appeals. Anthony Edwards, not so much. But I was just wondering how we feel about this 65-game rule and then the fact that now it is selective. We can pick and choose now who is going to be affected by this.
Yeah, I guess I'll start. I just think it's for the NBA. I mean, what other choice do they really have? They've tanked. Teams have been tanking. Teams have been not, resting guys for some of the most bogus reasons ever. And I'm all about making sure that the players are healthy. Make sure you're healthy when you're on the court. Don't just send out an injured guy just so the fans can see him. That's kind of silly. But the NBA has been playing with fire. The players specifically have been playing with fire. And I always have the players' backs, but they've been playing with fire for the last 10 years. Really about tanking and not putting guys into position to play. The coaches, the teams, and so I mean, eventually, what do you do for the NBA? You keep rewarding a guy who wins MVP and he plays 48 games or 52 games. I mean, you have to put some sort of standard in. Now, I don't agree with picking and choosing who got in, who got out. If you're gonna set a standard, if you're gonna say 65 games, then that's what it is. It doesn't matter if they missed it for suspension or this or that or this or that. 65 games. You can miss 17 games. That is how many games you can miss. That is almost 20 games. That is almost a fourth of the NBA season. So I don't understand really how tough it is. And I understand injuries happen. And it's like, I get it. If somebody has 40 straight games of just incredible ball play and, or 45 and then they go down for the rest of the year, I get it. But I think MVP also is like, and it shouldn't be, but it is weighed into who's going to make the most impact in the postseason too, in a way, because it's usually the team that is winning the most. They're typically going to get the MVP. So Cade Cunningham, he is on the number one team in the Eastern Conference, the Detroit Pistons. So he is going to be a top contender for MVP. Luka Doncic, I don't think he gets it, obviously, but I think, him, obviously played a big part for the Lakers this year, and he's been big for the Lakers. So AA, that's my thoughts. I don't think they can pick and choose, but I also think the players did it to themselves in a way.
Oh,
they did.
They voted for this. They voted for this.
Yeah.
First of all, if it was up to me, I would actually raise the limit to 69 games. This is an easy number to remember. Boom. You're going to make sure.
Not 70? Not 70?
69. 69, okay. I think is fair.
Okay.
But to that point, I believe here, extraordinary circumstances. Luka becoming a father, Cade Cunningham, kind of a life situation, like a legitimately a life situation. That's a circumstance, an extraordinary circumstance. Anthony Edwards appearing in 61 games, having an injury, that's not extraordinary circumstances. So I don't hate the ruling.
But I do agree with you guys in terms of you gotta really define extraordinary circumstances. Like you gotta really nail it down, define it. I think 65 games is too much of a sweet spot. I think that's still 17 games missed. That's still a lot of games missed. So I would bump it up to 69. Again,
Okay.
That's an easy number for everybody to remember.
But AA, your argument with the valid reason for Luka, he played in 64 games, right? He missed 2 because of the birth of a child. If he wouldn't have got the 16th technical and not get suspended for one of those games, he was going to be playing 65. So, yeah, the final 2 games dropped him below the 65 game deal. But if you're suspended throughout the season for any reason, for disciplinary reasons, why do you have a right to say, well, the 2 games that I missed at the end of the season because of the birth of a child, those are the ones that matter. The one that I missed because I couldn't keep my mouth shut with the referees long enough, that doesn't matter. But
Because we've also seen,
do.
because to answer that point, Rob, and not the answer for AA, because I'm sure he has a different opinion possibly than me, but it's because the referees are also taking games into their own hands. So I don't think that should ultimately be the deciding factor.
But that's why you have 15 techs until you get a suspension.
I get it, but there are refs that are out for certain players too, and I'm not going to hide from that. So I don't think that is the end-all, be-all. I just think it should be 65 games. I don't think there should be any extraordinary circumstances. You had that opportunity before you voted on 65 games.
You did. Luka, unfortunately, has a reputation, though, of the crying to the officials and techs.
And he got 1 tech rescinded after he had 17 techs.
Right.
He got 1 rescinded, so he should have had a 2-game suspension in there. He only got the 1 though.
Yeah, I think that's a different conversation too, though, that we're opening up. The matter of refs taking games. We were just talking about Tony Brothers last segment. You know, I think refs taking games into their own hands too, and unnecessary techs here and there. Adam, I get 16, I get it, but that's where I stand on it.
All right, let's move on to our next one, Rob.
Okay. By the way, for those of you who are scoring at home, Nikola Jokic averaged a triple-double this year and played 65 games. It's not like they're going to be searching for an MVP if that were the case.
No, they're going to give it to Cade. Sorry to interrupt you, Rob. I'm going to say this here, though. I think they're going to give it to Cade Cunningham. That's exactly why they made the exception.
It's amazing, though, and I've seen this happen with a bunch of other players where, like, your best season of your career is not the MVP year.
Yeah.
Like, he has 3 MVPs, and this is statistically his best season.
Yeah.
And he's probably not going to win it. But I'm just the point that I'm making is that there are other options out there. You know, it's not like we're going to be, voting Sam Merrill in for MVP or, anybody like that. No disrespect to Sam.
We should, though. I'm kidding. I'm messing around.
But, yeah, and remember, too, like, this is a big deal for the players. 1 point, and before we move on, I will say that these are the reason why it's such a big deal is it's not an ego thing. It might be a little bit of an ego thing, but the max contracts are tied to MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, first and second team NBA, Rookie of the Year. If you don't get those awards, you don't qualify for the SGA 80 million per max contract that's going to be coming your way. So that's why that's a big deal. And you guys are right. The players, they voted on this. So, I mean, it's not like, this was just thrown upon them by an evil executive. So, they're partly to blame too. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I am Rob Rozycki. We got AA Anthony Alford, Eli Moon, and we got, let's see, we got time for what? One more story here. I think that's what we're getting here. Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the period at the end of the sentence, we got, the one that we've been talking about now for a couple of weeks. Diana Rossini has now parted ways with the Athletic. That is now done deal. She is now over with them, and the shitstorm is still coming down on her. We're getting a lot of rumors and a lot of stuff kind of coming down from her. And I know this is a reasonably old story, but I think we need to rehash it a little bit because I understand her job compared to Mike Vrabel's job, but that doesn't change the fact that, the punishment meant by, the fallout professionally might be a little bit different, but I haven't seen one article that said Patriots coach has an affair with reporter. I haven't seen one article that says Patriots coach photographed with woman who wasn't his wife. It's all been just on her. And, by the looks of it, it seems like, there is some truth to what may be insinuated here. I don't want to presume too much, but even if all this is dead true, there are two parties involved, and it really only seems like one person's getting the shitstorm.
And he's avoided answering questions. He was supposed to talk last week. He didn't. We are going to hear from him this week because it's NFL draft week. He has to talk. But will the New England media, the Boston media, will they bring that up? That, Rob, I don't know.
Well, you already had Scott Zolak, the radio analyst for them, say, and former quarterback, one of Brady's backups, and I think a teammate of Vrabel's, say that it wasn't his place to talk about it. There's nothing good that can come from it. I think what a lot of these people might be, this has happened with the media corps, with any team in any sport in any era, where the beat reporters know some things that maybe your average fan doesn't, and they don't talk about it. So, yeah, I mean, there might be people that kind of knew about this, that knew all of it, knew none of it, knew somewhere in between. And I think everybody's in a bad spot locally. But, yeah, I mean, it still doesn't change the fact that, he's not getting anything from the media. The NFL has already said that he is not going to be subject to the personal conduct policy. He is basically, going to walk away from this scot-free, depending on what his wife and what his family thinks of it.
Yeah, I mean, my only thought on this is that this is like a learning experience. I mean, at the end of the day, Mike Vrabel should be being held to the same standard, but this is a learning experience. I mean, obviously there's an investigation going on still, but with Diana Rossini, resigning from the Athletic in the middle of an investigation, it just kind of, you see, usually when there's smoke, there's fire. And obviously, I don't mean to assume, but that just kind of seems the case. We'll see.
Well, there are also some rumors, too, that the photos were taken by a PI that was hired by her husband.
Right, yeah.
And that's a rumor. Yeah. I don't want to get too far down that road. So that also says that there might be a flame where there's some smoke.
Did you see what she did the next day, allegedly? She saved the elderly man from a car
read
crash.
that. I didn't think it was real, though.
I didn't see her, like the footage. I didn't see her in the footage, but TMZ claimed that the day after she was let go, or the day after she resigned, Diana Rossini, hero. Like, okay. What a week.
It's just at the end of the day, it's like, I guess where I look at it, I don't have any personal to speak on either one of them, but I think just when you are put in a position of power, whether it's being a head coach, being an insider, being anything like that, you have responsibility. And also, I think it just comes down to your morals. How strong are your morals? Because if this is true and this does come out that they were both married, married man and married woman, cheating on their significant others, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just so sick of the bad morality. We got to see the investigation, but yeah.
Her allegedly, not allegedly, whatever, sleeping with a source, that's an ethical thing that,
correct.
When you talk about capital J journalists, now, again, the double standards in there in such a way that, okay, there might not have been sex involved or anything along that line, but, the other male, insiders out there for any sport, they are not, they are friends with a lot of the people they cover. They are very familiar and very tight with some of these, sources that they do have. And yeah, there's nothing physical in there. There's nothing that crosses that line. But if you talk about an ethical deal with journalism, and I'm not going to use any specific names here, but we all know who they are. They break those ethical rules every day to get stories. They work with teams. They are, the insiders now, they're not reporters. They are a PR wing of the NFL. They are a PR wing of agents. Agents are, how many, we just got done with free agency. Like, you knew what agents were tight with what insiders, because insider A would have all of the, agent A's clients, all the announcements for the deals. Insider B would have the same thing with agent B, C all the way down the line. So, they're in bed, figuratively, not literally, but they are in bed with a lot of teams, agents, and other sources around the league that violate the same rules that, Diana Rossini is getting her ass kicked for. And again, we have all the folks that are on a certain side of the aisle saying that, women don't need any sort of protections, that they're just like everybody else, that we're all on an even field. The last 10 days have shown on a lot of levels that, yes, women still have a lot more fights to fight before equality is completely achieved. Because if this was a male reporter, now I will say, if a male reporter was sleeping with a coach or a player in the NFL,
Yeah, that's the story.
That would be a story.
That's the
That
story.
would be a huge story.
Yeah, that's the story.
But from the way the media is covering this, from the way that the specific problem is being handled by her bosses and the journalistic community there is a massive ass double standard going all the way across. Again, I'm not trying to exonerate her. I'm not trying to condone anything she may or may not have done. But the fact that she was guilty from day one, and it's not even a not guilty for Vrabel. It's, we don't care, high five, move on. Good work, Buckaroo. Hey, she's pretty hot. Good work with that. And then you move on with your day. So, again, it's that whole, guys get a pat on the back when they're sleeping around, and, women, they don't when all that happens. And I think we just kind of saw that happen in real life right now, and it sucks.
Yeah, and my last thing real quick, even if she was innocent, even if she was able to find the evidence that nothing happened, to your point, I treat it's kind of like Maury Povich. I mean, any guy that ends up on that show, you're guilty until proven innocent, but you still are not taking care of your responsibilities. It's got the same deal here. So even if she was able to find evidence that the other friends were there, well, you were still in the pool, so it makes it.
And that's the whole thing too, is that if there was any evidence out there to refute this and make this all better, it would have been out there, or she would be suing somebody for libel, one or the other. So yeah, at this rate, and I did hear that one of her first moves when all this came out was she hired or consulted with a crisis media consultant to get the message out and figure out the best way to handle it. So yeah, there's a lot of action there that does not really say innocent, but still at the same time, even if she's not innocent, dude, that means Vrabel's not innocent either. They're either both fine or they're both screwed. Like, I don't, again, it sucks, but this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We got Eli Moon, Anthony Alford. I'm Rob Rozycki. Let's figure out what we've learned. Can we do it in 11 minutes, guys? Let's go.
Well, if we've learned anything about our show, is we can't do anything in 11 minutes. But what I have learned this weekend, I know. What I have learned this weekend is that WrestleMania Night 2 is in 10 minutes, and we'll get the Side Hustle Wrestling podcast. Make sure you stay tuned. I think the guys are going to do a reaction later on tonight, so make sure you tune on for that, or tomorrow morning. They'll have something out here in the near next 12 hours, I'd imagine. So stay tuned, Inside Edge Network, Inside Edge Net. Stay tuned, Inside Hustle Wrestling podcast. Stay tuned for the BA Sweeties Popcorn. You're going to want to see it all. That's what I've learned this weekend. I've also learned I have the show at Grog Shop. I have the show at B-Side. If you're wanting to step out, if you're not a wrestling fan, you want to step out and see some music, Cliche, my brother from La Hele, is performing at B-Side. So I'll be down there at B-Side this evening. I'm big on community, and I've learned that community is so strong, and it's getting stronger by the day, and we're leading it. So that's what I learned this weekend.
I'll go next real quick. We're going to try a new flavor. We've been talking about this. It's from BA Sweeties. This is Kyle's favorite. I've never had it.
Yeah.
But Kyle's right here ready to go for Mania. Buffalo Ranch popcorn. Only at BA Sweeties.
One bite. Everybody knows the rules, bud.
Everybody knows the rules. One bite. Here we go. Dude.
It's so good.
Dude.
It's so good.
It's good.
No idea.
What I learned today, this is good as blank. That was what I learned today. This is at BA Sweeties. This is the Buffalo Ranch. I think this is the best popcorn they have. I'm not even joking. Dude.
Yeah. Hey,
Rob, you're up next because I learned that this popcorn is amazing. I'm going to.
And Rob, just to remind our friends at home before you send us out of here, discount code Lollipop. $40 order or more, $5 off your code. You can get some popcorn. Look at that.
All righty. And according to my counter here on my television, WrestleMania begins in 9 minutes and 15 seconds. So I'll try to make this quick. All right. What I have learned, I'm going to get a little bit more serious than these two here. There was a person in our business who, quite frankly, and I'll be straight up with it, has done a lot more than any one of the three of us have, who's been doing it a lot longer than any one of the three of us have. But it doesn't change that he is a little snowflake pansy ass bitch. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Sid Rosenberg. Yes, he is a New York media icon. He is one of those classic sports talk WFAN, have been doing it since God was a child. You know, probably knew Pete Franklin and Mike Francesa back in the day and had a good old time. Well, in a video that I thought about uploading, but I don't want to give him any more platform than he already has, he went on Facebook, as most 60, 70-year-old cranky ass bastards will, to voice his opinions. And he is a lifelong Mets fan. He went to explain that. Born in Queens, has been with this team all the way through the Miracle Mets, all the way through the 80s, so on and so forth. And he is no longer a Mets fan. Not because of their 10-game losing streak, which I think was only at about 6 or 7 when he made the video. Not because they had a massive ass collapse last season after being one of the best teams in baseball at the break. Not because they're the New York Mets and are the butt of every joke in Major League Baseball. But because Mr. Met took a picture with Zoran Mandani, the mayor of New York City. He was tired of Mr. Met's anti-Semitism. And he also threw in a reference to their socialist shortstop and his socialist wife. Sorry, Frankie, you kind of got astray in that one. But he used the photo op and the fact, too, that there was, I think, that there was not a Jewish night, and the New York Yankees welcomed Donald Trump in with open arms and did a Charlie Kirk tribute. So he put on his pinstripe jersey, joined the evil empire, and renounced his former team because Mr. Met is anti-Semitic. Now, I learned that just because you are a sports talk radio host for 35 years, because you have been doing it for multiple generations, just because you may have a great resume, doesn't mean you're a real fan. Doesn't mean that you actually really want to do this. Because, Sid, if you were a real fan, you wouldn't give two shits about the picture with the mayor, who, by the way, is the mayor of your city, the city where you live. That is the mayor of your city. And you are the same kind of guy, and you are the same person that'll look at folks like me and say, well, Trump's at a NASCAR race. Trump's at a UFC event. Trump's doing this. Shut the fuck up, libtard, and deal with it. I have been doing that pretty well the last 10 years. I have watched what I have watched. I have ignored what I have ignored, and I have enjoyed what I have enjoyed. I ask you do the same thing. I ask you to have the same thick skin that you are expecting all of us whiny little libtard sissy bitches to have. I want you to be a fucking grown-up and understand that, yeah, we are living in some crazy, crazy ass times, and there's going to be some things that you don't like. I don't like the fact that the WWE is in bed with Saudi Arabia. I don't like the fact that the NFL had Donald Trump there. I still watch the NFL. And the reasons why I don't watch the WWE have nothing to do with the money. It's because it sucks. So let's actually grow up, be an adult, and deal with things that you don't want to deal with. That might be the way to go, Sid, because I expected somebody, even if you are a blowhard, even if you are, in the words of one website, a New York radio yutz, how about you be an adult, and how about you actually apply the same standards to yourself that you're applying to everybody else? Why not that? Where is the commentary about the politics getting in the way of everything when Donald Trump today, by the way, so short ago that we didn't have a chance to talk about this in our pre-show meeting, publicly endorsed Teddy Roosevelt to be in the NFL Hall of Fame? Because Teddy was the one at the turn of the century that said, hey, put a helmet on. That said, hey, put some pads on. You got guys dying. He had a lot of honest to God reforms to the I'm not going to say NFL because he died 5 years before it was incepted, but he had a lot of contributions to that sport before that whole deal went down. Now, where's the stay in your lane video? Where's the politics out of sports video? Where is all of that crap that you threw out there when a fucking mascot took a picture with the mayor of the town that was elected by the people? Calm down. Yeah, I've learned that just because you've been in this business for 30 years, 40 years, 100 years, you say you know sports, you say you know stats, you say you know the teams that you're talking about. Just because all that might be true, I've learned that doesn't mean you're a real person or a real fan. So Sid, sit down, shut up, let the younger guys do this, let the folks who actually have 2 feet in this actual world talk about this world, and you just sit there and stay cranky on Facebook like everybody's great grandfather who nobody wants to fucking talk to. Okay. Well, there's going to be a hard way to transition out of this one. I did get
you laid the smackdown. To put a wrestling term on this, you laid the smackdown who needed to be
I'm sweating.
Down.
Yeah, I'm pulling the Rizzo here. I'm sweating here out of this one. And Moon just seems completely unimpressed with anything I just said because he wants to watch WrestleMania in 2 minutes. So here's what we're going to do. For everybody here in studio, for AA Anthony Alford, for Eli Moon, I am Rob Rozycki. Now, tune in to the Inside Edge Net after WrestleMania for 2 reasons. You'll be able to get an update from Anthony and Kyle in the Side Hustle podcast, and you'll be able to do a wellness check on Anthony to make sure he hasn't harmed himself or anybody else after this. So, yeah, check that out. And then obviously we'll be on next week. We'll be doing content, Cavs games, pregame, postgame, a whole 9 yards. And then, we'll be a normal week here on the Inside Edge Net for everybody here in studio. I'm Rob Rozycki. Eli, Anthony, go watch WrestleMania. Have a great one, everybody.